So I mentioned slow horses in my video earlier, or yesterday, I guess, or the day before yesterday. In my last video, I mentioned slow horses and kind of talked a little bit about why I like it so much. I mean, partly it's just a really well written spy show, right? I mean, it's based on books. I haven't read the books, but I want to because I like the show so much. It's also partly, it's got a great cast. Gary Oldman, in particular, as Jackson Lamb, the head of the Slough House. The reject MI5 agents all work at Slough House, and he is the curmudgeonly, malodorous leader of this motley crew. And Gary Oldman is, I think, quite possibly the best actor alive. At least, that I've personally seen in movies and stuff. And he's fantastic in this. He is disgusting. He's filthy. You can smell him through the screen. And but part of that is legitimately who Jackson Lamb is. I think also he uses this almost as a persona to make everyone around him underestimate him. I think it's both. I don't think he's faking it, but I think he's leaning into it and using this disgusting exterior and this abrasive demeanor to throw people off guard. Because he's always one step ahead or two steps ahead. He's always the smartest guy in the room, but he's not ambitious. He's not trying to become first chair at MI5. He's not, or first desk or whatever they call it. I don't think it's first chair. That's like the orchestra, right? First trombone, but he does want to protect his own, even if he insults and and makes fun of them and ridicules them constantly. He does care about them, and he is a moral and upstanding person beneath the whiskey-soaked, cigar-soaked exterior, and he's just a lovable character. So really, in so many ways, so much of the show does rest on Gary Oldman's unbelievable talent and charm, but also the rest of the cast is great, and all the characters, Rodney and River Cartwright, and all the different characters in Slough House, and just the difference. There's been 3 seasons so far. They've dealt with a far right group kidnapping a British Pakistani student, and kind of the way MI5 was involved in that. And then the second season was kind of a much more complicated and elaborate plot with Russian spies. This season was about a cover-up at MI5 that is sort of really it's kind of like a jockeying for power between some of the higher ups at MI5 and all the people that get kind of caught up in a very violent conflict over documents, and it kind of ends on a cliffhanger. But the interesting thing about this season is it's much more action packed, a lot more shooting, a lot more gunfights, and just a lot more violence in general, which I think is a nice change of pace on the one hand, but the last 2 seasons, both the second season, which I thought was quite complicated and was very dense, there was a lot going on, and this season with so much devoted to action, I feel like both of these seasons, more so than the first season, kind of didn't have enough time to tell the full story in a way that didn't feel a little abrupt. I'm not saying that it was necessarily, I mean, it's a little rushed, I feel, but it's not like each individual episode feels rushed. But the overall story feels like they could have a little bit more wiggle room, a little more room to breathe, a little more time to tell these stories and to not get to that ending so quickly. And maybe that's just me wanting more of a good thing. Maybe I just want, it's a great show, so I don't want it to be over so soon. I want to have another night of watching it, another week of watching it. But I do think that 6 episodes is a little short for the stories they're telling, especially in season 2. And then in season 3, when so much of it was action, and then it's just sort of like it's over. Okay. It just feels like maybe this show would benefit from a little bit more time. This is a good problem to have. Everything else about this show I just absolutely adore. And even this is me saying, I love this cheeseburger. I want a slightly larger cheeseburger. That's not a bad thing. That's not something that anybody involved in the show should feel bad about, obviously. I think so many other things the show does well. It's a show with a diverse cast that you never feel like is flaunting the diversity, right? So many shows feel like, oh, look at us. We have people of color and women in our show. And Slow Horses has people of color and women. In fact, the bad guy, spoiler, the bad guy in season 3 was essentially a black woman. So this show has a very diverse cast, but never rubs it in your face. They're not trying to look progressive or enlightened because of it. This just happens to be a diverse cast. That's how you do diversity, really. You don't want to make a big deal out of it. You're not doing it for show. You're doing it because, well, I'm sorry, like, look at modern day Britain. Go to London sometime. It's a very diverse city. It would be weird not to have a diverse cast. And yeah, they've dealt with some political issues like racism and white nationalism in the first season. But these, again, are actual issues that MI5 deals with. So it's actually very, very relevant and on point. And it's never super preachy. It's much more straightforward. And that is something that I really appreciate. Instead, the show relies on great acting, really, really solid, tight writing, and just great direction, production, editing, the whole thing. It's just a very, very well-made show. It's a very capable show. It's just not long enough. There's not enough episodes in these seasons to tell the full story to the degree that I would personally like to see it told. So that's kind of where I'm at with Slow Horses. Let me know what you think. If you're not watching this show, it's one of the best things on Apple TV. It's absolutely 100% worth watching. You won't regret it. If you like, I love spy shows. I'm always like, where's another good spy show? Like, if you have recommendations for great spy shows also, let me know. I was, Le Bureau, which is a French show. I was told to watch that, so I'm probably going to dig into that soon. I hear that's really good. But if you have other ones, let me know, British, American, whatever. I'm always on the prowl for another good spy show or thriller or mystery show. So anyways, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and peace.